Welcome back to Askewed Reviews, and today we have another fan request, and it is for the 1988 action comedy crime parody film, I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. Here is your trivia question for today. In a flashback sequence, what competition does Fly Guy win? The answer will be at the end of this video. At the start of the film, we find out that a character named Junebug has died from gold overdose. We go to his funeral, and that's where we meet Ma Bell and Cheryl. Then we meet a couple of hoodlums who are there to collect money that Junebug owes them. Since they, of course, don't have the money, the hoodlums decide that they're going to kidnap Cheryl and use her to get the money back. Luckily, Ma Bell is able to take care of those two pretty easily, but they are aware that more than likely they will be back, and possibly with more people to collect. Right about this time, Junebug's brother, Jack Spade, played by Keenan Ivory Wayans, has just come back from the armed forces. Now, you see, Jack is actually in love with Cheryl, and Cheryl might actually have a thing for him too. So he decides that he has to take it upon himself to fight crime to be able to save her. So the first thing he does is to seek out assistance from a crime fighter from back when he was a kid, and that man is John Slade, played by Bernie Casey. So Slade begins to get his old gang back together, including members like Slammer, played by Jim Brown, and Hammer, played by Isaac Hayes. There's also Kung Fu Joe, played by Steve James, and Fly Guy, played by Antonio Fargas. And now that Jack and Slade's gang have joined together, they're going to work on cleaning up the streets until they can get all the way to the top and face off against Mr. Big, played by John Vernon. Keenan Ivory Wayans not only starred in this movie, but he also wrote and directed it. What's interesting, though, is that Eddie Murphy actually created the concept and the title for the film. You see, Murphy and Wayans were actually hanging out at a party. Murphy mentioned an idea he had to Wayans, and Wayans said, "Hey, can I make it into a movie?" Did you happen to know that John Cusack was in the original cut of this film? The producers really wanted him to be a part of it. So he showed up, and he ended up being a delivery boy at the end scene in the big shootout. Now, the thing was, is they had him shot up a bunch of times with a bunch of squibs that exploded. Some of them even ended up burning him a little bit. And after all of that, they ended up actually cutting his scene from the film. Keenan Ivory Wayans is also very well known as the creator of the sketch comedy series In Living Color. A lot of actors that appeared in this film ended up showing up on that show as well. Pretty much all of his siblings did, including Damon Wayans, who played Leonard, Kim Wayans, who was the nightclub singer, and even Marlon and Sean Wayans were apparently background extras in the movie. Now, the Wayans siblings weren't the only ones to eventually join in Living Color. There was also David Allen Greer, Anne Marie Johnson, and even Chris Rock. John Witherspoon, who played the Reverend, and Jeanette Dubois, who played Ma Bell, did not appear in Living Color, but years later they would appear on the television series The Wayans Brothers that starred Marlon and Sean. Dawn Lewis, who played Cheryl, did appear in small roles in television and movies, but her big claim to fame is she got very involved with voiceover work. Clarence Williams III plays the character Kalinga. Did you happen to notice that you can hear the Brady Bunch theme at his headquarters? The reason for this is the woman playing his wife in the film is Eve Plum, who also played Jan Brady on the Brady Bunch television series. Did you happen to recognize another actress that was in this scene? The young girl who plays his daughter is actually the actress Ariana Richards, and she's also very well known as Lex from Jurassic Park. If you can't get enough of this movie, I don't know if there's any possible way of finding it nowadays, but there was a pilot for a television series that was a spin off called Hammer, Slammer, and Slade that starred the three characters from this movie. So when it comes to the film I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, this is another great spoof comedy that they made a lot of during the 80s and 90s. It's a parody of the blaxploitation films from the 1970s. I recommend seeing it. It is a fun and funny movie, but I am going to have to give this one a 3 out of 5. Now, as for the trivia question from the beginning of this episode, in a flashback sequence, what competition does Fly Guy win? While Fly Guy is reminiscing about the good old days, he has a flashback to when he became Pimp of the Year. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. If there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments. And as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.